Reports suggest that the company may be considering a renewable energy IPO to raise money, about 3,500 crore. Remember, Tata Power's renewables business has been growing exponentially with an almost 180% growth in just the fourth quarter and around 50% growth for full year FY21. And of course, there is a lot of increase in costs in the renewables space. So for all this, Praveer Sinha, Managing Director and CEO, Tata Power, joins us. Mr. Sinha, good morning and thank you very much. It's always a pleasure speaking with you. Well, first up, I wanted to ask you about this buzz that has been created. An IPO from the Tata Group is a big thing, very big thing for the markets. Are you all thinking in terms of a renewables IPO?
Good morning, Lata, and thank you for having me on this show. One thing I can tell you with certainty is that Tata Power is growing very big in renewables. And this is right across, and we are not just talking about large utility scale renewable projects, but also from EPC, manufacturing, rooftop solar. So I think the portfolio of renewable business that Tata Power has, there is no one in the country who has, nor there are many utilities globally who have that sort of range. So I'm one thing very confident that this space will be the biggest and will grow very fast in next 4 to 5 years. And what sort of structure will happen? This is again something under discussion, and we need to really apply our mind and come up with a solution which gives value to our shareholders and also is sustainable in the long run. So at this stage, lot of discussions, but no decision has been taken. And as and when we take a big decision, we'll definitely come back and inform.
Okay, fine. I guess Sonia will have more questions on this. But I just wanted to know, what about the InvITs then? That was also going to be a big leg of releasing liquidity, right? Any progress?
We did look at InvIT very closely. And last year when we were looking at that option, we still had a challenge of deleveraging our balance sheet. Fortunately, in last 1 year, we've been able to reduce our debt by nearly 9,000 crores from more than 43,000. We are at 35,000 odd. So I think the immediate task was to deleverage our balance sheet and make it more healthy so that we have enough money for our growth. Having achieved that and our debt equity of 1.42, we feel very confident that the next stage that we take a decision should be a more long-term decision and not just trying to put only our utility scale generating plants in renewables. So we are looking at it in a more wholesome manner, and we will definitely take a big decision and we'll come back to you.
Okay, and we'll await that decision as and when it comes through, right? Mr. Sinha, good morning. I want to come back to the renewable energy plans, because you said you're going big over there. And so far, the renewable business has been growing at a very rapid pace. I mean, in Q4 alone, your revenues went up, what, 180%. What kind of growth do you see for this business over the next 1 to 2 years? And how will you make the investments? I mean, how would you sort of fund the expansion of this business?
So as I mentioned to you, there are 5 components of this business. One is, of course, the manufacturing, wherein we expanded our existing capacity and made it double the capacity for cell and modules. We will also, at some stage, look at putting a large new greenfield manufacturing capability. The second is EPC. Our EPC has grown tremendously. In last year, for the first time, we had a revenue of more than 5,000 crores in our EPC and manufacturing business, which traditionally was always in the 1,000 crore range. So that's the type of growth. And we have a pending order book of nearly 9,000 crores. So you can imagine that this year, if we have to complete all the orders, what sort of revenue that we will have from EPC. Secondly, our rooftop solar and also our solar pumps are growing at a very, very fast pace. In fact, exponential growth, and we are doubling virtually every year in this business. So I think we have a huge pipeline of activities in renewable, apart from, of course, the utility scale, we are in the process of implementing nearly 1200 megawatt to 1300 megawatt in this financial year. 500 should come in this quarter or early part of next quarter. So I think renewable will grow very, very fast. And I think maybe a 10x growth in next 5 to 7 years is something that we are looking at.
Okay. Well, I want to come back to the rooftop product, not the least because you will have interested customers here. But I mean, that certainly looks like, cutting new ground. But let me first finish the DISCOM issues. You of course have got extra revenues because of the DISCOM fees that you must have earned in Odisha, but it also has a tendency to dilute margins. Is that right?
Well, DISCOMs have two revenue sources and two profit sources. One is the regulated return, which we get for all the investment we carry out. So there's a return on equity, which is nearly 15 to 16% on any capital that we deploy on the network and the technology. The second is the incentive that we get. And the incentive is for reducing the AT&C loss more than what is envisaged as per the regulatory order. And also the incentive if we collect old payments.
Okay.
So in last quarter, we could collect a lot of old outstandings which were there and we incentive. And this year, we will have the first full year of operation, at least for all the 4 DISCOMs. And we should be able to see a very good result in the coming year.
Okay. Will you therefore plan to replicate beyond Odisha?
Yes, our experience is very good. In a very short period of time, the type of turnaround that we have done in terms of reliability of power, customer service, financial improvement that we have done, I think that gives us a whole lot of confidence.
Are there bids in the market, sir? Are other states looking at it?
Right now, only Chandigarh is the one which is there in the market. But I do expect that once the Electricity Act amendment takes place and where the delicensing of distribution is being talked about, we'll get huge amount of opportunity all over the country.
You'll have many verticals, which is why I'm a little confused. You have your thermal and hydro, where you're generating electricity, like in places like Mumbai and other cities. And then you have the distribution business. And then you have this new rooftop business. Give us a little more color about rooftop. Is it sold only in the mid-tier towns where you have independent houses? Does it also sell in apartments? And, how many numbers did you sell in FY21? How many numbers will it be in 22 and 23? What margins do you get there?
So rooftop is not only for residential, but it is also to a large extent for industrial and commercial.
Okay.
And that's where I find that there is a huge amount of traction. In last year, we sold about 175 megawatt. And the year previous to that, we were not even 30 megawatts. So that's the type of growth that has happened. This year, we would possibly cross 500 megawatts. So that's the type of number that we are looking. Large number of industries and commercial establishments are now looking at various options. There are capex models and opex model whereby you generate and give them electricity at a certain tariff. And now with the focus on green energy and ESG for even industries and commercial offices, many of them are now opting for green energy from rooftop solar. So I think we see a huge untapped potential in this area. And going forward, we will become a big player, not only in supplying them the rooftop solar panels, but also giving them service for next 5 years and 10 years in terms of O&M and also value-added services in terms of how much they can generate and give it to the grid and earn money from it. So I think the consumer was waiting for a good product and a solution wherein they are comfortable that this will generate and give the type of yields that is being guaranteed. And with Tata Power name, it is providing them a lot of comfort and a lot of security. And we do feel that we can have a huge market space in this.
Okay, Mr. Sinha, I know we ask you this question every time on deleveraging, but it assumes even more importance now in these challenging times. as companies find it harder to pay off their debt. You're sitting on a long-term debt of almost 30,000 crores. What is the plan over the next 1 to 2 years? And, do you have any plans to reduce the debt? If yes, how?
Well, we still have a few assets which we are in the process of divesting. The Zambian company where we have a hydro plant, the Georgia hydro plant, and also the coal mine, the smaller coal mines in Indonesia. So they are all on the block. They are at different stages of discussion with potential buyers. Similarly, at some stage, we will also be in a position to divest our stake in Tata Projects. So I think we have a lot of room and headspace for divesting some of these assets. Apart from that, our existing operations are today very sustainable, and they have generating enough of EBITDA to take care of the debt that we have. So I think today our business is very, very self-sustaining, and we don't need any more fresh capital to sustain our operations. And many of the new businesses that we are growing in does not require large amount of capital, the distribution business or rooftop and solar pump. So I think we'll have a very healthy cash flow in future to take care both for repaying our debts as well as for the growth business that we are looking at.
Okay. Can you give me an overall picture, Mr. Sinha? You know, you are a 32,000 crore revenue company with about an 8,000 crore revenue, means 7 to 8,000 crore of revenues. Now, what kind of a clip are you looking at in terms of growth over the next 2-3 years? And which vertical will grow how much?
Well, our distribution business will grow very fast.
Okay.
Last year was only partial year revenue that you have seen and the partial year profitability. This year will be the first year, and all the Odisha discoms put together is about 10 to 11,000 crores. So that's the type of revenue that we are looking at.
Okay.
We also, I mentioned to you about the EPC opportunity. We did 5,000 crores. We still have a 9,000 crore of order book. Many of them will get completed in this year, and some new orders will come. So I think we have a very good order book position in our renewable business. We also will implement many of our renewable projects this year. So I think the growth will be very, very exponential in the coming years, and so also our cash flow and profitability.
And where will you allocate capital? Which business will be given and how much capital?
So mainly two businesses will get the capital. One is the distribution business, and the other is the large utility scale renewable projects. So they will get the bulk of the capital. We'll also be investing in the EV charging. Today we are the biggest EV charging company in the country, and that's another area that we will be growing exponentially. So I think some of the new businesses, home automation, ESCO services, but those will be much smaller in terms of capital allocation compared to the two areas that we will have larger capital allocation.
Okay, just a word on power demand. Has it collapsed a bit in May?
Yes, it has come down at least in the first 2 weeks of May. And we expect that once the lockdown is lifted, possibly by end of this month, many of the industries which had taken a shutdown and annual maintenance activities will come back with full steam. And last year also we saw that in the month of January, February, the demand went up tremendously. In fact, we never had in winter months a peak demand of nearly 185, 186 gigawatt. This year we expect in summer it may go up to 200 and 210.
Okay, all right. We'll leave it at that. That's a bunch of issues you have touched. Thank you very much, Mr. Sinha, for joining us. But we are looking forward to the big announcements on capital raising as and when you all take a decision. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much, love.
Okay, so we haven't got a very clear answer on the renewable IPO. It's not been denied, but they are still under discussion, looking at a lot of options. Let's run you through the past financials of Tata Power, last 5 years. That's the revenue coming up for you, and then you will have the profit performance bar chart coming up for you. Okay, with that, we're going to take a break, and then a huge exclusive chat is lined up for you. Joining us will be Anand Kripalu, the Managing Director and CEO of Diageo India. I would assume one of his last interviews before he steps down.